Okay, we've got to talk about the DARPA whistleblower. Remember Jill? Well, let's talk about the DARPA whistleblower and the bombshell evidence of alien DNA. This is going to blow your mind, guys, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, the reason I say it's going to blow your mind is because my wife said it blew her mind. Yeah, the DARPA whistleblower contacted me and also Patrick from Vetted and sent this essay that the whistleblower had written, this long essay about the history of UFOs and also their involvement in the research of the beings themselves, including their DNA. I didn't know what to make of the DNA results in the analysis, so I sent it to my wife, who's a molecular biologist and who works with DNA, and she said it blew her mind, and she thought, this is on the level. This is from a real molecular biologist who has actually looked at the research. I actually was able to do a little interview with my wife on the phone. The audio quality isn't great, but I will play that at the end of this analysis, or me going over the analysis from the whistleblower. Now, the whistleblower sent this email, and he clarifies some stuff because originally we thought it was a woman, and we were calling him Jill, but he says, just reading from the email, "Greetings, John, Patrick, and Jack. I have some issues with the way John presented myself and my work on the Mystery DARPA Scientist episode. This is not a complaint, and I took no offense, but there are a number of points that really call for some clarification." And first of all, he says that although his name could be mistaken for a woman's name, he's actually a guy. So let's just call him George. He's not Jill. He's DARPA whistleblower Jill no longer. DARPA whistleblower George. But he also says about DARPA, there was in my bio in my essay which mentions DARPA, but the time I spent with them was only a few months out of a 35-year career in defense electronics. I'll attach the essay and you can read it for yourself, but I mainly worked for NASA, the Air Force, and the NRO. My final assignment happened to be with DARPA, and that's what made me decide to take early retirement, by the way. It's interesting. He goes on and he says, that being said, my main point that without presenting the essay and the logic behind its conclusions, naturally the majority of listeners said that the whole thing sounded like total BS and I must be some sort of a kook or a shill for the control group. Ouch. I actually sent the essay to all three of you some time ago, but only John responded, and for that I'm grateful. So I don't remember him contacting me, but he may have. I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So, very interesting that this person did reach out to me, Patrick, and John, but only John responded, according to George. And, he exchanged some emails with John, and he says he never actually intended for those emails to go public with his speculative thoughts about an alien invasion. What he primarily wanted to get across was this essay, which includes a lot of stuff, the history of UFOs and the cover-up, and it's a really well-written essay. It's quite long. And then he goes into his own part in all this, analyzing the DNA. He's a molecular biologist, and that's what he did. And he talks about other stuff as well. But let's go over the DNA, and then we'll go over my wife's thoughts on this, because that's why I'm going forward with this video, because I don't know, if this guy sounds credible or not, based on the DNA, because I don't know jack about DNA. But my wife does, and she says that, yeah, he sounds like he's on the level, and the research sounds credible. And she was actually really impressed by it. So what does he say about researching the alien DNA? From the late 2000s to the mid 2010s, I worked as a molecular biologist for a national security contractor in a program to study exobiospheric organisms, EBO. The aim of the program was to elucidate the genome and proteome basis of these organisms. Although the study of OBCs has been going on for decades in other programs, new high-throughput DNA sequencing technologies of the late 90s unblocked stagnant research in this area. Yeah, you can see why I had to bring my wife into this, right? Yeah, she's a scientist, a PhD. Actually, her title is chief scientist. She doesn't reverse engineer, but she recombines DNA. And she knows her stuff about that. He says, since then, several breakthroughs have led to significant advances in our understanding of the genome and proteome of these beings. What we've learned so far has enabled us to outline some disconcerting perspectives about our place in this universe. Briefly, we've discovered that the EBO genome is a chimera of genomes. Am I pronouncing chimera right? Is it chimera? From our chimera of genomes from our biosphere and from an unknown, from our biosphere and from an unknown one, an unknown biosphere. They are artificial, ephemeral, and disposable organisms created for a purpose that still partially eludes us. Artificial, ephemeral, and disposable organisms. Interesting. First, I'd like to discuss their genetics, George says. Their genetics are like ours, based on DNA. This fact was very puzzling for me when I first learned about it. We imagined that beings from an alternate biosphere would have genetics based on a completely foreign biochemical system, and surprisingly, this is not the case. Several conclusions can be drawn from this surprising revelation. The one that immediately comes to mind is that our biosphere and theirs share a common ancestry. They're eukaryotes, which means their cells have nuclei containing genetic material, which suggests that their biosphere would have been separated from ours sometime after the appearance of this type of organism. The term exobiospheric organism is actually a misnomer, but as it's an historic term, it's still used. Their genetics are not only based on the same genetic system, but they're also even compatible with our own cellular machinery. This means that you can take a human gene and insert it into an EBO cell, and that gene will be translated into protein, and this of course works in reverse with a human gene inserted into an EBO gene or EBO cell. There are important differences in the post-translational modifications that will make the final protein non-functional, but I'll discuss these later. Their genome consists of 16 circular chromosomes. You're probably familiar with the concept of intergenetic region or junk DNA. These are basically DNA sequences that don't code for proteins. These are evolutionary residues, transposons, inactivated genes, and so on. To give you an idea, in humans, intergenetic regions represent approximately 99% of our genome. I'm aware that these sequences aren't completely useless. They can be used as histone anchors, as buffers to protect coding DNA from radiation, or even as alternative open reading frames, but that's rather peripheral. By the way, here's the visual of this portion of the essay, in case you wanted to read it at your leisure. Don't read it if you're not leisurely. I mean, come on. But yeah, here you go if you wanted to read it. There it is. I have copied and pasted this into Notepad. And there you go if you wanted to screenshot this and read it at your leisure. Here it is. Okay, that's the entire portion about genetics. He goes on, and I may get to that in a later video. But this is the portion of his video that talks about, or portion of his essay that talks about the genetics. Okay, so let's get into his conclusions. Particularly striking about the EBO genome is the uniformity of these intergenic regions. We see the same sequences repeated everywhere, and the distance is in BP between the genes is virtually the same throughout their genome. The result is a minimalist, highly condensed genome. In fact, it's much smaller than ours. Moreover, the quantity of protein coding genes is even significantly lower than ours, probably due to genetic refinement, but also to biological processes that are absent in EBO. The uniformity of these sequences is a major indication of the artificiality of these beings. There is no complex organism on Earth that has such elegance in its sequences. There is no evolutionary pressure that can lead to this kind of characteristic other than genetic engineering. Speaking of genetic engineering, following sequencing of their genomes, we noticed a troubling and universal characteristic in the 5 foot, I don't know what that means, of the regulatory sequence of each gene, which we call the tripalindromic region. The TPR are 134 BP sequences containing, as its name suggests, 3 palindromes. In genetics, a palindrome is a DNA sequence that, when read in the same direction, gives the same sequence on both DNA strands. They serve both as a flag and as a binding site for proteins. I don't even know what that means, guys. I'll be honest. But he says TPR opens the door to several possibilities. One of them suggests the EBO geneticist can insert or remove a gene from a cell in a way that is far more targeted and efficient from our technology than our technology allows. No proteins have been identified in the EBO genome that interacts with TPR. Rather, we believe that these proteins are exclusively targeted by external genetic engineering tools, probably used at the zygotic stage of embryonic development. The nature of these tools is unclear, but we definitely don't have anything like them. The probable absence of these proteins from the genome is a further indication of their artificiality. Given the high probability of artificiality of their genome and the apparent ease of modifying it with biomolecular tools, it's not out of the question that there could be polymorphism between individuals depending on their role and function. In other words, an individual can be genetically designed to have characteristics that give it an advantage in performing a given task, like soldier ants and worker ants in an anthill. Note that these previous statements are speculation. To my knowledge, only one individual genome has been sequenced, so I can't make a definitive statement on genetic variation between individuals. To conclude with genetics, the mitochondrial genome at the time I was working there had not yet been sequenced. It's safe to assume that this genome would also be streamlined and possibly has some version of TPR. So again, I will let you screenshot this and read this section at your leisure. There it is right there. And I may be talking about further sections in the future, but I'll go right now to the little interview I did over the phone with my wife. Again, a molecular biologist, a working scientist, who was able to confirm that this individual, George, actually knows what he's talking about and that the research seems credible. Again, the audio quality isn't great. This is my first phone interview where I'm just putting the phone as close as I can to the microphone, but I don't think close enough. I had it like out there. I probably should have been putting it right there. Anyway, here is what my wife had to say about this really interesting research in Whistleblower.
Okay, so as someone has been working in gene recombination for years with training in molecular biology, I totally understand. The content. I think it's very interesting and very credible, especially about the gene structure and how these genes, how the cellular machinery works, to from gene to make protein with the gene structure very, as someone in this area, it's just blow my mind off about the information, about, I think when he says that, and this, those aliens, these genomes, these aliens um, came from the same ancestor as humans, had the same ancestor as humans. I totally believe it because given all the similarity, how we look like, right?
Yeah.
And they have eyes, they have arms, they can walk, and it got to be some similarity on the gene level to explain this. How these things work is how if we all can walk and have eyes, have hair. Well, no hair. I don't think aliens have hair, do they? No. Okay, so they have eyes, they have skin, so they look like humans, they walk like humans, and all this is just a result of gene function from a molecular level. If you want to look deeply into that, so it's very I really I think that's very good. How I'm gonna say it is very good. It explains everything that their research shows that we came from same ancestor. That's very. It was a good explanation. It's a very reasonable explanation. So.
Okay, I'm recording.
Okay, so when he was talking about the interesting structure of the gene at the 5' end of the regulatory sequence of gene, and talking about the very specific signature of the structure there, and he was saying that this makes it easier for gene insertion. For genetic manipulation, it really makes total sense to me as somebody has been, has lots of experience doing gene manipulation, making mutations. It's very easy for me to understand. That's really, really very neat. And this really backed, supports his conclusion that those aliens, it could have some. I think what is the word he was using? Some artificial.
They're artificially created, and they're
artificially created, right? Yeah. That makes sense. This, given on the structure of this, all this data, all this is findings really supports his conclusion. That's pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool, and thank you so much for going through all that. And yeah, I wish I knew what the terminology was and what he was talking about. But anyway, but you think that this guy's on the level and that this science is genuine?
It is. Yes.
All right, you wanna take this the findings and build an alien?
Well, they have to give us the sequence, exactly sequence. It's not that easy. Trust me. We are able to make artificial cells in the lab, but it's not trivial.
Yeah,
it is lots of work. Someday we will be able to. We're working towards that goal. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Any idea how long it would take us to be able to achieve the science necessary to create one of these beings?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to say, really. I mean, once the technology reaches a certain point, it will grow, very rapidly. But before that, it will be very slow. If you think about the DNA structure, first we discovered was the double helix structure. That was in 1953, 70 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But today we're able to treat some leukemia, blood cancer, use gene therapy. Maybe another 50, 70 years, maybe, I don't know.
You think we could grow an alien in 50 to 70 years?
No, maybe not.
No. Okay. All right. Well.
70, maybe grow from something smaller, maybe. much simpler organism to start with. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So my dreams of having an alien butler are gonna have to wait.
Yeah. Well, maybe we may have technology to make people live longer comes first. So,
That'd be nice. That'd be nice,
yeah,
and younger.
we'll wait
Yeah,
eight better later, right? Yeah.
yeah, I like that, and with better knees. That'd be nice. Oh,
That's nice.
okay.
Yep.
Uh, all right. Well, is there anything else you want to say about the science, or this guy's research, or what you think?
Yeah, I think this research is very credible and it's a long process. It's very, very, very interesting information. It's, very detailed and a bunch of scientists. It makes a lot of sense to me. That's something, if you want me to believe you, you have to give me solid examples. This is I have heard other things about, aliens, like Alaska Mommy about the gene sequence. They claim they were 30% similar to human genome. I don't know the detail, so I question it. Also, I don't quite agree with them about how they assembled the sequenced genes. So for this one, it's very solid evidence. Yeah.
Okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, and he's done the research that he says he has. That's what you believe,
Yes.
and you don't
Yes.
believe that it's disinformation or BS.
That's correct. Yes.
It seems credible and genuine.
Tribal and genuine. Yes. Yeah. And so I'm just needed to go and think about, what that means to us about the artificially created aliens. That's a lot to think about it.
Artificially created aliens, but some sort of common ancestor somewhere in there.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
now, do you think about the common ancestor? I mean, do you think they could have just taken some of our DNA and put it in theirs, and that's why there's a genetic similarity, and it doesn't necessarily mean there's a common ancestor, or possibly that if they created us from some of their DNA, that could explain it?
Well, it's more like if you have this signature sequence there with. I think it's more like maybe they created it based on our genome. I'd rather think that's what happened. But if we were created from them, well, because they still have this signature sequence left in their genome, it's more likely they were created from us.
They were created from us. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'd rather think that way, based on my
Now you-
understanding of molecular biology. Yeah.
okay.
I'd think of that way. Yeah.
So it makes more sense to you that they would be created from us.
Right.
Huh. Okay, that's fascinating. What does that
Yes.
mean? Maybe because they're interacting with humans, they want to look more like us, or else the hybridization program where they're making hybrids. They seem interested in taking some of our DNA and using it. You know,
I don't know. This also makes me wonder: is the chicken egg problem or not? Because if the aliens, have contact with us, that's the genome looks like. So does that mean who created them look differently?
yeah, that's a good question. I mean,
Right?
the lore. I mean, many experiencers say that there's mantis-like beings, praying mantis-like beings, that are the overseers of the Greys. But there's also the small Greys, and then there's the tall Greys. And some believe that the tall Greys are actually the original organic beings, and they created the small Greys. But you don't know. You know, who knows about any of this? The phenomenon is so elusive, and it can manipulate minds, and you just never know. And then there's other beings that seem to work with the Greys, like the Nordics, the human-looking beings. Where do they come from? How do they figure into all this? Are they just pretending to look human, or do they actually have some of our? Yeah, that'd be fascinating to study a Nordic DNA, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, are they humans? What are they?
Or we were all created at the same time, but differently by one creator. I mean, that's possible too.
That's totally possible. And, near death experiences, some of the information that they get is that we created this reality. We come from somewhere else. Sometimes some say that, Source or God created this reality. Some say that we created it ourselves because we wanted to experience duality or learn lessons or grow or evolve our soul or whatever, stuff like that. But others, when they have these near-death experiences, they actually see aliens and non-humans on the other side. And a lot of evidence suggests that these aliens and UFOs, whatever, are coming from higher dimensions. And so some of this seems to have, if these bodies were created, artificially, is it possible that a consciousness from outside of our reality, from a higher dimension, could inhabit that body, and that it was created as a vehicle for that body? And they, some of them could be higher dimensional beings that are here to do something related to, other dimensions.
Right.
But I mean,
That's a lot to think about.
it's a lot to think about, and it'd be nice to be able to confirm some of that.
Right. Yeah. Someday, maybe never.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of corroboration in the accounts, but it's not like analyzing the DNA, right?
Right. Yeah. This is God. It's at least feels. This makes me feel like, hey, universal on some level. It does, work. They obey the same, work the same way. The mechanism, the same mechanism seems to work. As a scientist, I like to see things like that.
Yeah. You mean they have DNA? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, they have DNA, they have genomes because they look like us. You cannot just say something that makes you feel like there's a. That will make us question about the physics, the math, everything.
Yeah.
If they don't have the DNA, and we grow up, they think, oh, this world, everything, we have the science, we have the technology, but you cannot say the science, the math, the physics, whatever are wrong because we're able to, have cell phones, have televisions, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, our science works, right?
Your science works. Then if this doesn't apply to these aliens, then it makes you wonder why not, right? What's going on with those science?
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't make more sense, definitely not from again, because we like to think this way because that's how we, the rules we have, the science, how it works in this world. So it's neat to see, they do have genes.
Yeah, they have genes. They have genes. That is interesting because they didn't have to have genes, I guess.
They have the genes. They, all the same. They use the same machinery, use the genes to make proteins. But also interesting. I think they were saying about the genome size is different. I think like 13 pairs or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was I think 13 pairs of genes. Also, they are very seems to me like a very compact and miniaturized, which is very interesting too. Yeah.
What does that imply?
More compact. Like a bacteria. You look at the bacteria genome, and they are they're prokaryotics. They're slightly different organized than human genome, where eukaryotes. But again, but they are more efficient. How the gene works, so they have a small genome. They still have the gene. They make proteins. The bacteria can function. But they're more compact. They have all pros, but anyway.
Are there some benefits to it being compact? I mean, what's the point of that?
Yeah, it's about think about it again. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you think about it. Think about it. All right. I mean, well, would you like to talk to this person?
Yes, if he wants to talk to me, I'll be happy to talk about it. But then I have to think about also the questions asking.
Yeah. You got to use your brain.
Use my brain.
Yeah, that's a problem. Hate that.
That's a problem. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, sweetie, for looking at all this. And is there anything else you want to say before I end record?
No. Glad to hear all this information from someone's closely, involved in the research, and so I have a lot to think about.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, if you have any more thoughts, come back on the show and let us know.
I'll be happy to.
So let me know what you guys think about it all in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Discord links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Also, channel members frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.